Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host Phil from underKG.com, and this is the Galaxy M20. And this value budget phone seems like a very good deal. Is it though? Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the front facade, and as you know, it's got a notch. Samsung likes to call it the Infinity V display, but nevertheless, this is a water drop notch. The back looks like this. It's a clean, simple design, but not original particularly. And especially the backplate coating is subpar at best. I personally put a protective film on it so it doesn't look that bad, but if you want to take a look on the Galaxy M10, which is almost identical, you can see that the coating on top isn't sprayed very evenly. The reflection looks very unpleasant, especially with that glossy finish. And also thanks to the massive battery, this is pretty heavy at 186 grams. And no, it doesn't come with any weather protection. Not that you should be expecting one on this price range. Before anything else, let's talk about the display. So this Infinity V display is an LCD panel, well PLS to be exact. And overall quality isn't that bad. It's Full HD Plus, but they could have given more options, especially when the screen is a little pale. The panel isn't that color accurate and not that uniform either. You can see the brightness falling on the edges of the screen, especially on the bottom and on the notch. Particularly on a downward angle, you can see the shade of notch portraying onto the screen. One more complaint is the auto brightness feature. This does not have the ambient light sensor. Instead, it utilizes the front-facing camera to virtually sense the light, hence the name virtual light sensor. It's usually very slow, doesn't work that well, and even if you go to a very bright environment like under direct sunlight, it doesn't boost up the screen like it does with the proper light sensors. So I ended up manually adjusting the brightness a lot. And unfortunately, another complaint that I have is the performance. It's got Exynos 7904, which is actually even slower than Exynos 7885. You can tell in everyday tasks like open up a settings screen, takes a little while. Moving on to the sub option, there's a slight lag, and especially switching between the apps take a little while and stutters. And things are especially worse in the camera. It takes little time to launch the camera, and also the space management is a little weird. Like the status bar right hand side corner is almost empty. There is the Wi-Fi icon, cellular icon, and the battery icon, and that's it. That's all you can see. When there are more to be shown, like Bluetooth, vibration, and alarm, it simply declines to show it there when there are massive amount of space left there. The only thing that you can manage to show additionally over there is the battery percentage. By the way, if you hate that notch, you can actually decide to hide that through a feature there, although it doesn't round the corners like it does with the One UI. And also there's an option to replace the navigation bar to the full screen gesture, so you can swipe on the bottom bars to take your option. Now let's move into the camera, which is a little laggy as well. Like launching the app itself takes a long time. Anyway, you can take a photo with the f1.9 normal angle camera. It generally takes decent photos. Dynamic range is pretty bad, but still is acceptable under low lighting condition, and especially considering the price range. But the thing here is that the details were pretty disappointing. You know, the resolution isn't that bad, 16 megapixels, but it's got very soft output overall. There is the secondary camera, it's wide angle, 123 degrees, and it's also mediocre. It's got even less detail, but then you can't ask for that much on a budget phone like this. Keep in mind that it's a $150 phone. My real problem here though is that the live focus is heavily software backed. Since it doesn't have a depth sensor, it needs a face to determine whether it's a background or foreground. So if you're shooting anything else than a human, the live focus does not work. The same goes with the selfie cam. I love the glow effect there. That's a little nice touch. The result isn't that bad, it's just a little bit laggy. There is a live focus option, but it also requires a human face. Now, the audio department. It's got speaker on the bottom, not fancy stereo, anything like that. It's just a mono one on the bottom. The output is okay. It's not that loud, it's not that quality, but acceptable at the price range. And also it's got headphone jack on the bottom, and that output is a little dull, so to say. It's a little mumbly. It's not as high fidelity as it is on the flagships, but again, we're talking about a $150 phone. There's a Dolby Atmos sound effect, equalizer, customizable, and UHQ upscaler, Tube Amp Pro, all those options, including the DAP sound. But of course, if you're talking about the Galaxy M20, we had to talk about the massive battery. It's got gargantuous 5,000 milliamps of battery cell built inside, and the screen on time wasn't as long as I thought, but still very impressive, 9 hours. Keep in mind that I'm always on the LTE network, surf the web a lot, so most of you with a lot of Wi-Fi connection at your home or office are gonna be able to gain an hour or two longer than I did. Now, since the battery is so massive, even though it does have fast charging capability, it's not that fast. Half an hour is going to give you 29%, an hour for 53%, an hour and a half for 78%, 2 hours and you're still at 98. For fully charging the cell, it's going to take 2 hours and 20 minutes in total. And here we go with the conclusions. Overall, it's a pretty well-rounded phone, but I do have one big complaint, that is optimization. Samsung is not particularly good with it, but it hasn't failed me this badly recently. And again, look at the finish on the back panel. It's worse than Xiaomi. I mean, if you want a Samsung, sure, I would suggest this over any other Samsung phone around this price range. But if you don't have a specific brand preferences, then there are Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo. There's a lot of competition that is better in almost every way. So that's what the Galaxy M20 is. It's the best that Samsung has ever built for the price, but it still is a Samsung budget phone. It's not the best out there. Alright, so that's my take on the Galaxy M20. If you have any questions, please do leave them down on the comment section below. You can always meet us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you guys later. Ciao.